So hello everyone and welcome to this webinar today. My name is Farah Munzer, Strategic Account Manager here at BNB. Our themes for today will be artificial intelligence and low code. I'm very excited to have with me today Michael Rishenko, the Sales Director at Creatio, and Alex Petronenko, Product Evangelist at Creatio. So in terms of agenda, we will be starting with company introductions, and then we will go into artificial intelligence and understand more about this technology and where it stands nowadays, along with what our organizations are looking when adopting and investing in AI. Then we will go into LowCode and understand its role in automation and streamlining business processes. We will understand more about the LowCode platform provided by Creatio with AI capabilities and some use cases. And finally, we will see the platform in action through a hands-on demonstration. We will have a Q&A in the end, so please put your questions in the chat and we will be answering them towards the end of the session. Keep in mind that we are recording actually this webinar, and we will be sharing it with all the participants afterwards by email. So now let's head over to Mike. Hello, Mike. Again, I'm excited to have you in this session. And could you please give us a little bit of introduction about Creatio?
Yes, hi Farah. Hello everyone, thank you for introduction. It's a great pleasure to be here today with you, and I wanted to quickly give you an introduction of Creatio, who we are, and later on we'll be talking about the products that we are bringing on the market. So Creatio is a leading vendor of low-code BPM and CRM solution. We have 5 offices around the globe, with the headquarters located in Boston, Massachusetts, with around 650 people strong and counting. We have more than 700 of partners who support us locally around the globe, and we are extremely happy to have BNB among them. We work and have our customers in around 110 countries, and also our solution is highly recognized by world leading analysts such as Gartner and Forresters, and we are very proud to be recognized as a leader in Gartner Magic Quadrants for 2 years in a row for lead management and Salesforce automation, as well as to possess strong position in the number of other Gartner Magic Quadrants. As well as Gartner Forrester also recognizes Creatio as a strong performer and a leader in a number of Forrester ways. So back to you, Farah.
Thank you, Mike. So regarding BNB, we are global system integrators providing a unique digital journey for organizations through unlocking customers' digital future. We provide different business supporting different sectors and organizations. This portfolio much others. As BNB in numbers, we can see that BNB has been established in 1995 with 17 global offices in Middle East, Africa, and Europe. We have more than 45 value-added resellers who work under supervision of BNB in this region. We have more than 40 professionals and 250 technology experts serving more than 3,000 industry-leading customers in this region. So before starting the topic here, I would like to present some definitions that would help us in this discussion. So first, with artificial intelligence, in AI, we are trying to mimic the way a human make decisions and then apply this knowledge to computers. So in other words, we are using technology to process knowledge. And AI consists of so many areas. One of them is the machine learning. So another definition is the low code, and many of you would be familiar with other terminologies like the one button deployment or the rapid app development. And low code is often represented graphically. You define a process, map it out on an intelligent graphical user interface with no coding or minimal coding. So when we look into artificial intelligence, there is one way of looking into artificial intelligence is through the four pillar of AI enabled future. And in that vision, you can see four main aspects in which AI will impact our future lives. It is the way we work, the way we live, the way we experience the world, and the relationship we have with data. So the first aspect is the AI enhanced organizations. And one positive aspect in this area is that AI is making organizations much more responsive to their customer needs and desires. So artificial intelligence is making mass customization possible actually for different industries by applying these machine learning algorithms to tailor the offerings, to build solutions that are customized for each individual, whether they are clients, citizens, patients, etc. Another benefit and change that AI is bringing is the always-on organization. So with the idea of conversational agents and autonomous bots, there's very little reasons for businesses to close. So this is not only limited to e-commerce and digital operations. No, actually, we are seeing them in different industries, and one of them is the banking sector. So we do have like automated ATMs, and operations are going smoothly, especially in this situation during the pandemic. As for the second pillar, which is the autonomous everything, so AI is empowering the ability to autonomous operations of all types. It is also the autonomous chatbot that I've mentioned before, and it also reaches to this autonomous vision, to this vision of autonomous retail actually. And one of the innovations that I would think about is the Amazon Go application. The third pillar, which is in addition to our work lives, AI will soon be part of our overall human experience. So in this AI-enabled future, we will be able to carry conversations and interact with each other, each using his or her own language. And this is because of machine learning algorithms and models that will be able to detect the context and other factors that will fill the gaps of communication between humans. And finally, it is the pervasive knowledge. And the idea of pervasive knowledge here, it's not only that we are connected to all this worldwide information grid, it is also that all the systems will have a constant knowledge of what we are doing and how are we doing it. And there are like positive sides of this pervasive knowledge. I can think of one example, which is preparing for a disaster, for example. So like back in 10 or 15 years, we didn't expect to receive a message stating that a kid is missing or a storm is imminent. Now we are just expecting more because a system may be leveraged to just tell us if we are on the path of the storm. They can just guide us to seek a shelter, notify the responders to rescue us. So the idea of pervasive knowledge will impact everything from the way we shop to the way we live. And here, I would go to Gartner now, And Gartner, which is the world's leading research and advisory company, has identified the top 10 data and analytics technology trends for 2020 that can help data leaders navigate through the COVID-19 response. And it turned out that by end of 2024, 75 of the organizations will shift from the pilot phase to the operation phase in adopting AI. And this is actually for many reasons. One of them is that AI will provide the ability to monitor and refine the business processes. And this can free up the resources so that our employees would be working on different tasks, different projects. Other side of adopting AI is the personalization of data, because AI tools will help us bring the data to the surface in real time and allows more personalization. So we will be accessing data faster with AI, and not only that, actually the data with AI will be more accurate. And upon adopting AI into our organizations, the human and AI cooperation will also increase, because we are sure that there are human errors, but also AI do make errors. So if we are programming the AI in one way, it may not be able to recognize certain errors. So here where humans can help to just correct them as well. And then before going into another study done by Gartner, which is about the objectives that the organization might be pursuing when implementing AI, I would like to ask Anina to run this poll and ask our participants to answer these questions. So what goals would you like to achieve by leveraging AI tools in your organization? Is it the cost reduction, the efficiency boost, personalization of the offering and services, developing new services and offerings, or all the above? So please feel free to vote and let us see the results and compare it to Gartner's survey. So it's quite interesting that 67% voted for all the above, and actually, yes, all are very important. So going back to Gartner's survey, and we'll see that when Gartner asked the organizations about the objectives that they are looking for when investing and adopting AI, it turned out that automation is one of the objectives they are looking for. And when I say automation, it would be perhaps routing. So filing a ticket or a case and routing it to the proper department to just solve the problem. This would be an example of automation. Another area of automation would be the image recognition, and I would think about the accounting department actually, and all this paperwork that they need to process. So people there do need a machine system to just look into these documents and say, yes, this is an invoice that should be staying here to be processed. And this other document, it's a contract and it should be sent to the legal to be processed. And even automation is being used nowadays by rolling the vaccination, by predicting the high risk people who should take the vaccine in the first stage. And what is surprising in this survey done by Gartner is actually that 40% of the customers of the companies surveyed chose customer experience. And this is because it is the most prominent area in which AI can benefit companies. So if you do customer experience right, or customer obsession, or whatever we call it, your customers will turn to be the brand ambassadors, and they will sell your products and services on your behalf. Another objective, and it's quite obvious, which is the cost reduction, because all companies are looking to cut costs, to eliminate positions that include repetitive tasks, to streamline their processes. And here we can say that cost of production actually is one of the highest rated expectation from the AI technology. And finally, the most challenging objective is when AI is assisting in complex tasks. And this is somehow far from our field. It is more into the science. Probably you heard about proteins and decoding DNA, and even decoding the COVID-19 with the SARS genome through prediction algorithms. So they did use the AI in COVID-19. So going into like another poll that was done by McKinsey, and McKinsey here is also one of the leading research companies. And this poll has been done in New Year 2020. And it is very interesting that the figure you can see shows that 80% of the companies surveyed by McKinsey believe that AI helps the most in sales and marketing. And this is a marked change in the way people think about the AI technology. Because if we go back into the 1950s and 1960s and the Deming's thinking about AI, it was all about the service operations, the manufacturing, and the supply chain. Actually, they are still there, and AI do serve these industries, as you can see in the graph, but it's more now into marketing and sales. And this is why we focus on AI and low code together, because this what can make changes quickly in the CRM, and this is where we can get the biggest return. And it's also quite interesting that more than 10% of the companies surveyed were increasing the revenues by more than 10% upon adopting AI. And continuing into this poll done by McKinsey, also 44% of the executives surveyed report cost savings from AI adoptions in different business units. And this cost reduction is at least 10% on average. And on other side, the results of this survey indicated that a majority of companies are preparing for an AI-related workforce changes. So when asked about retraining workers in response to AI adoption, 83% of those executives expect at least some of their workforce to be retrained in the next 3 years because of AI adoption. And 38% expect more than a quarter to be retrained. So all these studies, surveys, and the figures are just quite remarkable and interesting. And we can see like giant steps done in the artificial intelligence technologies. AI is now integrated with so different businesses like the trading stocks, like the finance, the marketing, the banking, and so many others. We actually don't know where this AI-enabled future will become totally in reality, but the certain thing we know about is that we are heading to it, and companies and organizations are just investing in these technologies now. So this is related to AI. Now I'll head over to Mike again to know more about the low code and its role in automation and how Creatio can help us in accelerating our business processes. So Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Farah. The potential of AI looks truly exciting, but then there is another technology that can help business to transform tremendously. So let's talk now about the low code and how it can be helpful for the business. And let's start with taking a quick look at numbers. So according to Gartner's, the worldwide low-code development market will grow to by 23% this year, 2021. And we are talking about the market worth of around 40 billion USD at the moment, right? At the same time, the global low-code development platform market is predicted to generate the revenue of 187 billion in less than 10 years from now, which is truly exciting. And nearly 60% of all customer applications are now built outside of the IT department. 60%, more than a half. And 70% of organizations believe that low-code platforms are more affordable than traditional software development. So these numbers look really great, but let's now take a closer look at what low-code is and what it actually does for the business. So low-code helped regular employees with no technical background to be closer to the technology. It actually made the technology more affordable from the perspective of implementing their business ideas to life. So now the regular employee, with the people from business, can bring their business ideas to life with the help of the local technology without having any deep technical knowledge. And so 65%, and we call these people citizen developers, and 65% of citizen developer apps are designed to help users to grow, to get their work done, while 44% of citizen developer applications help the business to run more efficiently. So we see all these numbers and we understand that now people are empowered with the technology. So if we would talk about citizen developers, so once again, citizen developer is a non-professional who uses low-code or no-code technology to develop their application. And if we were to compare citizen developers with traditional professional developers, we will see the difference that, first of all, citizen developers are not the full-time developers. They have their own business function. They do their main day-to-day job, but at the same time, they can now leverage technology to develop applications, while professional developers, they are full-time developers. If we are talking about the preferred tools, of course, citizen developers, by no having technical background and coding skills, they leverage on the low-code and no-code technologies, while pro developers, they use more traditional programming languages. And the typical applications that citizen developers create are the individual applications or work group applications, while professional developers are, of course, more focused on the enterprise level and departmental applications for the business. So what actually the benefits of leveraging the low code for the business? From the people perspective, it of course makes the technologies and people more adaptable and more accountable because they are actually developing now applications with their own hands. They become more innovative and inspired because they realize the whole potential of the application of the technology that they have in their own hands, and highly productive because they work in the environment that they were involved in creating. From the business perspective, the processes become more efficient and agile, effortlessly orchestrated and aligned because all of them are created in a single environment. And the software itself is more responsive and fast, always up to date because the team has the full ownership over the developed software, diverse and flexible, and of course it can be deployed by much lower costs. And if we would take a general look of the benefits of the low code, I would like to focus on the 4 key statements here. So one enterprise low code investments yielded 20.5 million in 3 years, including 8.1 million in application delivery savings. So tremendous savings by leveraging the low code technology. And the average company avoided hiring 2 IT developers using low code tools, and these reaped about 4.4 million in increased business value over 3 years from the application design. And again, this shows us some tremendous cost saving and efficiency from using the low-code technology. And low-code and no-code solution have the potential to reduce the development by 90%, which means that the solutions will be delivered faster and at much lower cost. And nearly 60% of all custom applications now are built outside of the IT department. And of those, 30% are built by employees with either limited or no technical skills, by those citizen developers, right? So you don't need, as an enterprise organization, to now have your own in-house team of developers to maintain those solutions, because they can be created and maintained either by business users or system administrators, by people whom you can easily hire, educate, well, train, and make them responsible for the software development and application creation within the organization. So let's now talk about what Creatio actually can bring in the area of AI-powered low-code platform. So these are the three key staples of Creatio solution. The first one is the BPM engine to change and orchestrate processes within the organization and have them all under a single umbrella. The second staple is a low-code platform, which we have just discussed, right? The platform and the technology that grants a huge flexibility to the business to create and deliver applications in no time at all. And the third one is a unified CRM to align sales, marketing, and service in the single environment. So this is literally how the very simple diagram of the Creatio solution looks like. If you see underneath, we have this studio platform, which is itself a low-code BPM platform, on top of which three modules of CRM, namely sales, marketing, and service, are built. All of them can be used as a standalone solution, while together they form a seamless environment for managing customer-facing operations, working with your customers, starting from marketing down to sales and to service, so the full customer management cycle. And on top of that, in addition to that, we have a marketplace full of additional applications, connectors, and add-ons, which are there to enhance the functionality of your solution. So if we would talk about the machine learning part of Creatio, we could bring it down to three main areas. The first one is the classification, which helps to, with the case priority prediction, service case prediction, assignee group prediction to define how the cases can be distributed, or the opportunities, for example, for if we're talking about the sales team, we can segment the customers with the help of the machine learning, and of course the income and documentation classification. If we're talking about the scoring, it comes down to the scoring of leads and opportunities, applications as well. You can predict the probability of your customer to churn and do something about that before it actually happened. There you can predict the success of your marketing campaigns, and of course the cases that might become overdue, and put a special focus on them. And if we're talking about regression, there's the predictive amount of the deal, the probability of the deal to be closed, the predictive cost, the time of closing the case, duration of marketing campaigns, bulk email, and so on and so forth. So there's a wide area of how machine learning can be helpful for the business, and there's a variety of use cases. If we're talking about the low-code solution for the business, it actually helps the companies to outsmart their competition by leveraging technologies in a different way. So the low-code, no-code approach allows you to deliver the innovations 10 times faster by gaining, and that allows you to gain that competitive advantage on the market, because you are not only able to develop it faster, but then also to change and adapt faster to ever-changing business environment. So, and intelligent process automation and orchestration tool, here we're talking about the BPM capabilities, right? So that actually allows you to leverage on the business process management to orchestrate business processes, store them in the single library, and actually all of the processes will be focused in a single environment. And then it helps you to have all this in a unified environment of customer relationship management, right? Which again create a seamless flow of data and processes, making your customer interactions focused and more efficient. So that was very quickly about Creatio, its low-code capabilities, machine learning, and the CRM part. So at this point, I'm happy to turn it over to my colleague Alex to actually show you the system live, show you the low-code capabilities of Creatio. So please, Alex, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. And guys, very excited to show you the system in action. Well, of course, Creatio is fully AI and machine learning enabled, as Mike has described, and AI and machine learning comes in very, different forms and different instances, right? Assisting our end users in using the application more efficiently and performing their daily routine a lot more efficiently as well. And AI enablement in Creatio is coming in different ways, right? As I mentioned, these are some, intelligent data searches on account profiles and company records that assist our end users in populating and enriching data in the application a lot easier, right? With just a few clicks, the system can actually search for all of the additional communication options for our organizations. And of course, when we talk about more traditional CRM tasks and more traditional ways of applying machine learning in the application, we can talk about some additional machine-generated insights and predictive models in order to generate the next best offer or the recommended products for our opportunities, right? Whenever the users are going through the pipeline with their deals and whenever they are actually adding some products to those opportunities. But what is most important, of course, for us as a vendor of low-code application platform is not only to provide the system and our customers with some machine learning model capability or AI capability, but actually to enable them in creating their own machine learning models and being able to adjust those at all times as they're going through the through their business requirement overview and through adjustment and changes to their business models. And this is where we can actually have a look at an example of one of our machine learning models for account product recommendation. Right, this is where you can see that the machine learning models are being set up in completely no-code environment, right? By simply specifying the type of the machine learning model that's going to be predicting the data, what is going to be the products that are going to be delivered through the recommendation, right? And how exactly are we actually going to be building this machine learning model profile? And then, of course, through the same approach with simple point and click, right? We can actually define which records are we going to be including into the training data set if we would like to update the model automatically based on training settings, right? And how we're going to be setting up the same prediction results. All of the settings for the machine learning models are being performed and delivered through, point and click style of configuration, which means that even if this is an out-of-the-box model, you can still adjust and you can still make changes to this model as you go. Right, so you are not going to be limited to using only those models that we've created, right? But actually tailor them to your own needs, tailor them towards your own business requirements and needs, and of course create additional models. Also, if we continue looking at some additional types of data prediction, for example, the predictive scoring that is classically used in order to predict the probability of certain events, like leads being converted into deals, right? We can see that the same way and the same approach is being applied across other types of data prediction. And one of the things that I also wanted to mention that, of course, in addition to classification, regression, and predictive models, we as well have additional types of machine learning model capability, such as recommendation systems, MBOs and MBAs, and as well text similarity. right? To be able to actually find objects that are similar to each other based on certain fractions of data that are available on them. And of course, in our case, since we don't have any configuration limitations, we don't have any limitations on machine learning model creation, our customers can establish an environment where they're going to have multiple machine learning models scoring and predicting data towards the same objects, whether it's out of the box or custom, in different perspectives, right? And provide their end users with more additional machine generated insights. And one of the other great benefits of Creatio is that our customers are able to use and reuse machine learning models in a dynamic way, where they can set up specific business processes. For example, anytime that an opportunity goes to the stage of proposal. So for example, right here, specify that we're going to be limiting the execution of this process to only a specific stage, right? And that the stage should be proposal. They can then actually use the machine learning model and execute data prediction in the application absolutely automatically, right? So not be limited to only one specific way of scoring the data and predicting the data in the application, but actually have this being generated at all times, at any time that they need to, right? And in the same way, they can as well include multiple machine learning models to be executed within the same process. So for example, to predict the account products for a specific opportunity, for a specific deal. And these are really the benefits of Creatio, where the system is capable of adjusting to our customer needs, not limiting them again in any way in the way that they would like to build the machine learning models or use them, but provide them flexibility and capability of reusing those models at all times, scoring and rescoring the data, right? Repredicting certain data, and then of course adjusting and tailoring those machine learning models as they go, right? And of course, creating additional ones, and then having the ability of empowering their users, right? Making them a little bit more efficient, provide them with additional insights into cross and upselling opportunities, or just simply having, the machine with all of its computing capabilities on the side of their end users. And of course, at the Q&A session, I'd be more than happy to answer your questions in regards to the machine learning model and AI capability of Creatio. But at this point, I believe that I'm going to pass it back to Mike and Farah for other areas of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for this demonstration. And I think now we are ready for answering the questions. So we'll check your questions in the chat. And of course, if you have more questions about the demonstration, we are pleased to answer it.
Yeah, Farah, I think we have a question here. So can you just quickly read through this for the audience? And I believe Alex can also do that one.
So one of the questions here is, how do you suggest we combine low-code and traditional development? And actually, I would say about this point is that the low-code platform, and especially now, it is gaining the momentum. So it's very important for companies to adopt this technology, because as Mike also showed us the figures, it leverages and helps us in streamlining business processes. So we can use this drag and drop development environment, this model-driven logic to help our team just build business processes easily and quickly. And we are able to adopt the low-code platform among our users just much faster than the traditional development. Yet we all do know that there are like some points that always organizations do have a tendency to go into traditional development, and this is where we are able to combine these technologies. So I would say that 90% the goal of the low-code platform, and of course Creatio here, would be like ability to streamline your business processes, about 90% of them. And whenever we have like specific requirements and very complex ones that do require custom coding, like deep integrations and other industry specific requirements, we are also able to run these codes within the platform and bring on the traditional development. So what do you think, Mike?
Well, Farah, from my side, I would like to add that in no way does low code replace traditional development, right? The purpose of low code is to, first of all, accelerate the overall design time of the application, right? And to empower certain tasks to be solved a lot faster and easier, like the UI, the data model definition and creation, right? And absolutely agree with you too as well. Lower the load on the traditional developers and professional developers, right? Allowing them to focus on more extensive and more complicated tasks like building very deep, very complex integrations. But we also believe that local technologies should be empowering even professional developers in their tasks, right? Where they can reduce the time spent on building the application by 40 by 50, 60%, right? Because a lot of what they are doing traditionally with professional development now can be covered through drag and drop, point and click style of configuration, and then, apply professional development to the results of low code design, right? And quickly bring the application to the desired state.
So I can see like another question in the chat box here about the time taken to implement and set up the Creatio low-code solution. So regarding Creatio low-code solution, actually, I would say that it would be very short. And here we can like adopt an agile methodology. And when we say agile methodology, I do think that it's a best approach when we implement such a platform, because we can go with like a pilot phase, check our priority in streamlining processes, and implement this application that could be like a success story. We can share it with our management and just make it easy for them to invest more in this platform. And by that, we can go into the other phases step by step. This is how we can like give our users also the time to adapt into the system, to recognize the ease of use of the system, and actually the return of investment when they say when they see how their processes are all automated and they are able to finish their tasks easily and faster. So it's actually a short implementation, and of course it's always depending on the approach you follow, right, Mike, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we see amongst our customers is, of course, there is no medium in or average time in deploying the application, right, or implementing a solution, because we have customers in very different industries, very different sizes of organizations with very different needs, right? But what we do notice is that usually the rollout of the application using Creatio's low-code environment is at least twice as fast compared to traditional CRMs, traditional applications, and out of the box of the shelf solutions. Okay, fair. And I see another question in the chat about what would be useful to know is which is the minimum size of the company you need to use. You need to use the AI, right? So what is the data minimum that is required to be used and so on? Well, the answer here is that, of course, there is a minimum number of records or data set for training of the machine learning model that is required. I think it varies based on the model between 1,000 and 3,000 records, right? But of course, the idea here is that within Creatio's machine learning models, you can decrease the minimum number of records required to run and train the model, right? And then slowly and gradually, as you're going to be gaining more data while you're working with Creatio, you can extend and you can retrain those models to be more precise, right? And be more on point. So again, if you do have the data already, and you can move that data from a third-party application through migration tools and ETL tools, great. You can already jumpstart using those models in more efficient, more, I would say, precise way. But if you don't have that data, but you would still like to have some, leverage some of those capabilities, you could, but keep in mind that, of course, the predictions will not be as accurate as they would with larger volumes of data.
Thank you, Alex. I think we have another question here related to RPA. So is Creatio capable of adopting the RPA either by building an existing one or building a new one?
Well, Mike, this is actually a pretty good and interesting question because RPA currently is being used to define two major areas of functionality, right? RPA through chatbot and automated answers to customers through messaging platforms, and RPA as a classic RPA that is performing, orchestration with multiple desktop applications, for example, right? For data integration, for efficiency improvements. And the answer here is that actually Creatio can be leveraging both capabilities, where first of all, we do have marketplace add-ons and extensions for chatbots and RPA on this side of the field, but also we can build and we have connectors to professional RPA solutions for application orchestration like UiPath. Right, so within our system, we can establish and we can deliver both areas. But as such, currently, we do not have our own native RPA for cross-application orchestration.
Thank you. I think we have a couple of other questions here. So a very interesting one. So how do you handle native solutions? For example, capture data from Swedish document or Chinese document?
Well, the idea here is that we are, first of all, multi-language enabled, right? We are currently translated into 14 languages, if I'm not mistaken, and we are capable of processing any kind of data within Creatio in any language.
Wonderful. And the second question is about the pre-configured low-code AI elements. Like what of them is available in terms of core functionality and capabilities of the system?
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, what pre-configured low-code and AI elements are available out of the box?
Out of the box, we have, well, first of all, we do provide some out of the box machine learning models for lead scoring, for opportunity scoring, for NBOs, right? Together on the server side, which will provide the best case assignee prediction with the service and case priority prediction, right? And again, those are just core models that you can extend and you can reconfigure if needed. And of course, we provide some additional capability around data search when it gets to account creation, account communication options search, and enrichment of data on contacts based on incoming emails.
So I have a question here too. It says, what pitfalls might be there when implementing an AI-powered low-code solution? So actually, I always tell my customers whenever we are kicking off any project related to low-code solutions, that elaboration phase is just very important and very critical stage among all the other stages of the project. Because during elaboration, it's very important to make sure that we are gathering the requirements from the key business users and the power users who are able just to have this perspective of what they are expecting to see in the system. So the much more we are able to determine the key people in this stage, the more we are able to just gather like clear requirements, it would be easy to go into the execution and to deliver the solution within the expectations of the users, and of course faster. So I think this is one of the critical things that we need to plan for it always and make sure that it will run smoothly.
Yeah, thank you, Farah. There's another question that I would also like to answer. So the question is, do you have any cases of cost optimization and operational efficiency through AI and low-code implementation? So the answer is definitely yes, right? And we have a number of customers who improved their operational efficiency and optimized their costs from OpEx perspective tremendously, right? And that mostly became possible because of the two key factors. The first factor is that you don't need expensive IT resources in your in-house IT team, right, to maintain and deploy these applications. As said, it all can be done by citizen developers who are your employees already, right? So they require just a very simple training, and then they become fully enabled. So that, as said, reduces time to deployment and cuts the cost tremendously. The second thing is that you can stop using all of those redundant applications that were purchased previously for some specific business purposes, right? So all of those applications can now be deployed within this low-code environment. So not only it cuts the costs because you don't need to pay for those applications anymore, but also it increases the adoption of the users within the organization because they were involved into creating something that they will be using afterwards, right? And which makes it really easy to adopt the technology and use it and bring the value to the business. But also it all boils down to one single interface instead of dozens of other applications which were, poorly connected or served some very specific purpose. So those are the main outcomes and benefits of using a low-code and BPM environment.
Thank you, Mike. So I think we have like additional 5 minutes, so we can just answer one more question. One of the questions I can check in the chat is what business processes would you recommend to automate in consulting companies with low-code technologies? So actually, there are a lot of business processes that we can implement and automate in consulting companies, other than the typical ones that could be fitting for any industry, like the typical departments when we're talking about the HR and the finance and the purchase legal. There is also like specific business processes that would be implemented. I would think about the consultation process itself within the consulting companies, which is managing these consultation projects from A to Z by assigning the teams, by going through the milestones from step to step and putting on every milestone the available resource. Also within the same process, we can be able to automate the financials of this project and keep an insight on how this project is meeting our estimations and our financial KPIs that we did set from the first beginning. Also, another example that could be automated in consulting companies is the processing of the quotations. So there could be the sales process, because they do provide like different types of services, of consulting services, whether it's a financial or a tech consulting or any other type of consulting companies. So a low-code platform can be used to automate the sales processes there with automatic processing of quotations, whatever the category is, accelerating the closure, being able to recognize the happy path customers within your sales pipeline. So I think it would be very helpful for consulting companies and for many other industries, actually. So by this, I think we came to the end of this session. I would like to thank all the attendees, and again, I would like to thank Mike and Alex for joining me in this session. I think this topic is very relevant to the situation we are living now, and please keep in mind that you are able to check this webinar on YouTube, and also we will send it to all the participants. And finally, I thank you to the attending, and I would urge you to just download the free trial version of Creatio LowCode on the website and experience 14 days of just checking the low-code capabilities along with the AI capabilities, and we will be pleased to support you with this journey. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Farah, for that. As said, that was a great pleasure to be here today, and we are looking forward to have more conversations with organizations who are interested in bringing low-code technology on board to experience all of the benefits and gain the competitive advantage, as well as transform faster in this fast-paced business environment. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.